So growing up, what was your relationship like to Eurovision?
I don't know how it is in other countries, but in Lithuania, it's like Christmas. Everyone's obsessed. When Lithuanian artists perform, the streets are empty. It's been like this since I was a kid as well. We were watching every single year. Every year, there's someone who surprises me. But if I had to choose, I would say Loreen probably changed history in a lot of ways.
What drew you to electronic and rave music?
With every single rave I go to, it draws me in even more. The crowd is very different. The music itself, I used to think it's meaningless and it's just random sounds repeating on a loop. But then my life was taken over by techno music, and then I would listen to it in gym and everywhere. So then eventually it also introduced itself into my songwriting.
When did you start writing songs?
For majority of my life, I didn't even want to write songs. I felt like I had nothing to say, and it felt like a wrong time for me to start doing it. Maybe I was scared that I was gonna be shit at it. I was waiting for something. And then when I moved to London to study, I was kind of forced to do it because we had to. I remember my first song that I've ever written. I came back from uni for lunch, and then this melody just started kind of coming out of me. I was imagining like orchestra, and then I started to sing, and even the lyrics came out. So then I was like, what's that new feeling I have? And yeah, the song was released, actually the first song that I ever written, and it did quite well.
The first song you wrote was Noise.
Too much noise. I can hear your voice. I can hear your heartbeat. Spread your body heat. There's too much noise.
I mean, it was very different in my head. The approach of the production was very different. But then I talked to this producer, and he sent me two versions. One was like, okay, so this is what you would like. And then the second one was his approach to it, and he thought I should choose that one. And I did. I'm glad I did, because I explored that kind of style. It wasn't totally me, but it did well in terms of views.
What was the difference between the two tracks that the producer sent you?
The original option that I wanted was very sad. And I was imagining more instruments, not like the whole orchestra, but maybe strings. And yeah, it was just more depressive.
In 2010, you were in the national final for Junior Eurovision. Can you talk about that experience? What was it like competing in a contest like that so young?
I was not in the best place mentally. My teenage years were kind of dark times for me. As a young gay boy, I had to deal with bullying and all the shit that comes with it. So it's difficult for me to kind of talk about it and remember that time, since I just get PTSD.
No, that's fair.
But then now reliving it and maybe healing the wounds that I have from it, it prepared me for the actual thing, because it's kind of like a tiny version of it.
Then, like 7 years later, you performed on another show, I Am a Super Hit. Can you talk about that experience? Was that a more positive experience for you than Junior Eurovision?
Yeah, I was already out and proud. I just finished maybe the first year of uni, but I experienced London, which changed my life in the sense that I accepted myself and got to live in a world where I felt normal, you know? So going back to Lithuania was easier for me to be out and proud. So that was definitely a more positive experience, because the audience saw that I am accepting myself, and then it was interesting to them. And I even won the show. So definitely more positive.
Afterwards, you worked behind the scenes on a reality show, like in production?
Ever since I was a kid, I was just drawn to TV shows. I was thinking about maybe even studying TV production as well. And I got this opportunity to work on and to see everything behind the scenes. And that house that we lived in for 3 months, it felt very strange. You can only see some cameras, but despite that, you're kind of just in jail, really. Very bizarre experience. And then once I got to see the outside of it, how the production comes to life and everything, it was interesting.
After that, you stepped in front of the camera again on TV when you competed on X Factor.
I feel like every TV show that I've done, it kind of all represents different times in my life. I am very different in all of those experiences. Seeing myself now in Eurovision, I'm finally proud of myself. Like, I got to the point where I can watch my performance and see it's actually pretty cool. My past experiences, I would cringe. In my head, I feel like I'm the same and I have the same dreams. But what was lacking was the experience and the skills that I didn't have. Learning how to sing properly, breathe while singing, performing with cameras, being confident with myself, with my music, even writing music that I'm proud of.
Luktelk is such a cool song. Can you talk about sort of the birth of that song, how it came about?
The whole thing feels like a trip that I didn't choose. It just feels like I'm just living in it, but any of it wasn't my decisions. I guess it was just natural. I just woke up. I was like, Eurovision, maybe I should do it. I have a session today with two of my friends. Should we just try to write maybe something for it? And then, yeah, we started writing it immediately. And I was like, maybe Lithuanian song would just not work. But then my friend was like, step out of it, calm down. Your goal is to show different sides of you and just to show something that you created. Don't think about winning or trying to please everyone.
The song is in Lithuanian. And, you know, at Eurovision, there's sometimes this old fashioned idea that, like, if you want your song to win Eurovision, it's got to be in English. And recently, you know, we've had Måneskin, we've had College Orchestra. So the contest really seems to be changing. Can you talk about the choice to release the song and submit the song in Lithuanian?
If you're doing something just to win, that's the first problem. And it's just not going to work because people are not going to connect to it because it's not about winning. It's about some sort of unique thing that you're creating. And when it comes to Lithuanian language, I was skeptical myself. I used to be very ashamed that I'm Lithuanian. We have things about Lithuanians that I'm not proud of, and I used to be ashamed of it. And I can now say that I'm kind of responsible for how the world sees Lithuanian culture and everything. Even though the past is in the past, now we're creating the future. I want my song to be in Lithuanian because I want to show the world our language. It's one of the oldest languages in the world and it's slowly dying as well. I feel like if we're going to do everything in English, then what's Lithuanian about it?
When you talked about the hurt of the younger version of you who was in the closet and who had to go outside of Lithuania to find that pride in yourself and to now be able to be that representative, I'd imagine that heals some of that pain. And now I would imagine there are young people in Lithuania who maybe don't need to go to London because they have you and they have this Lithuanian representation of seeing themselves on screens.
Yeah, it's very beautifully put. I might be the first openly gay person in Lithuania that represents us in Eurovision. A lot of singers in Lithuania who are gay, they're closeted. So it means a lot to me that I can be that person. People actually voted and we won. That never happens. Gay people would be runner-up. I'm not maybe like the face of LGBTQ plus people in Lithuania. It's still a part of me and I'm proud to represent them. I wish I had that when I was a young boy because we didn't have that many people who would be very open. There's this stereotype that gay people are weird. There's something going on that's crazy about them. And then, like, Troye Sivan, for example, he's just like a random boy. He used to do YouTube videos. Like, there's nothing crazy weird about him. And he's just like, hi, I'm gay. I'm just like you. And we didn't have that. I hope that I could be that inspiration to someone.
Can you talk about the process of working to put that visual presentation of the song together?
I found the guy that did visuals literally on Instagram stories.
Wow.
The story was sponsored, and I was like, that's a cool visual. Who is this person? And then I opened their page, I texted them, and we started talking. And he was like being very generous. He was not in it for money or anything. And everyone on my team is very inspired and they're buzzing just like me. We were filming the first semi, and it went quite well. I was like, okay, people are in the audience already resonating to me. And like they streamed this a few days later. And then it was an immediate reaction from people, from the audience, the messages, the views. I was like, okay, we're on to something. Like I can't explain it. The song kind of got on trending and on Spotify, on YouTube. And it was just like a virus spreading, to be honest. Like people would email me, text me saying, what the hell did you put into that song? Like I would wake up at 3 a.m, I start singing it, and I'm like, am I sleeping? Is this like a dream? What's happening? So yeah, like the whole thing started to just kind of expand. And then we got to the final, and I had pressure for sure. A lot of people were saying, you're going to win this. But I was like, just calm down, people. Let's live in the moment. Let's enjoy like the preparation every single step of the way. And then when it comes to actual winning, then we can enjoy if we win. If not, then we can celebrate what we achieved anyways, because the whole thing is just a dream come true anyways. I was trying to control not the emotions, but how I used them, because it was very easy to get lost in them. And on stage, I wanted to kind of focus myself. I wanted to ignore the whole world and just present my song, my message. And then when we won, I just couldn't believe it. Like to this day, I just had to accept this as my new reality. But in my brain, I just don't think it actually happened. It just feels like it was a dream. And one day I will wake up from it.
How do you feel about preparing yourself for that even bigger stage? And do you have any plans for changing the act for Eurovision?
I feel like there were more pressure being in Lithuanian selection, because I just didn't know if people are going to accept me, and all these doubts. Now we did it, and now we're celebrating it. Whatever happens in the actual Eurovision, either way, I'm going to be happy. Like there's no scenario where I'm going to come back and be like, well, I'm ashamed. I don't want to jinx it. Maybe something might happen. But I just feel like even if I mess up, I'm just going to be happy that I got to live in that. Probably a few weeks before it happens, my body will come back to that stressed state. In terms of changing things, I thought we're going to have a lot of time, but apparently that's not the case. So I don't think we'll have a lot of changes. It's just going to be bigger. That's once in a lifetime that I'm going to be performing on a stage like this. Swedish people, they have it all, like all the cameras. There's unlimited access, Even if I would come to, I don't know, doing stadiums, arenas, whatever, I don't think we're going to have the same technical side of things that we have now and possibilities. So I really want to explore it and enjoy it.
I was wondering, like, what you think the relationship between your queer identity and your music and your aesthetic is?
I'm just being me, really. I've always wanted to just feel free to look the way I look, act, dance, and do all the things that I am in a comfortable way. I just wanted to stay authentic. I just want to write songs about my experiences, and obviously it's going to include boys. So I guess you could say in that way it will be queer.
Is there a piece of advice that you've gotten either from another artist or from a teacher or something that really stuck with you?
I just kind of like always ignored everyone and tried to do things my way, because then you can explore and then you can fail. But if you fail and you know why you failed, and then, learn things. I don't like to follow someone else's path just because it's safer or whatever. But yeah, I got an advice now from someone who's been on Eurovision as well, saying that people now gonna want a piece of me, and just try to keep something to yourself. It's a good advice, because I started to feel like I'm just giving something out of me that I don't want to. I just feel like maybe I just need a few days off without communicating to anyone. And I don't think that's gonna happen.
Speaking of inspiration, you mentioned it a little bit earlier, Troye Sivan. What is it about him and his music that you respond to?
I used to dream of being a YouTuber. I used to dream about releasing my songs. Literally every single step of his career and everything he's done just felt like something I wanted to do with my life. But he was a few steps further. I don't think there's anything that he could release that wouldn't resonate. I'm just obsessed with his way of thinking, creating, writing, expressing himself in visual ways, the way he's connected to his family. It's just everything about him. It's even creepy, I guess.
Silvester, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're incredibly busy, and we are very excited to see you perform at Malmo.
Nice.
Yes.
I want to meet you guys.
Oh, we'd love that.
Absolutely. We will be
Please
there. So
send me a DM.
Awesome.
Great. Thank
Will
you
do.
so much
Will
for
do.
having me. It's my pleasure.
All the mysteries of the Euroverse.